Allow me to tell you a story. A story about a story about Area 53. In Trinidad, New Mexico, in Area 53. The very facility housed anywhere from gross hybrid monsters to extraterrestrial killing machines to cryptid monsters. And was heavily associated with the SCP Foundation. Anywhere from aliens to cryptids to celestial divine beings of lower rank and all kinds of creatures. One was a twin-tailed alien, slimy alien, razor-sharp claws, and a demonic grin. And has killed plenty of the researchers and personnel. It tried to escape Area 53, but the U.S. government that was stationed in Trinidad, New Mexico in 1984. They were researching on how to stop these twin-tailed elf alien monsters and to exterminate them. They captured one, but it tried to escape. It was evil, manipulative, cunning, and dare I say, bloodthirsty. For the longest time, the researchers at the SCP Foundation was working closely with Area 53 and the sanatorium in the close vicinity. And the military base was their last line of defense. They had to have security. Some teenage girl was talking about it. She was talking with her friend. Her friend, who happens to be a guy, who was also a teenager at the time. Then the whole high school, on the very same day that the news went around that an alien monster, the elf-eared twin-tailed alien monster, tried to escape 5 times. But the very alien was captured each time. And it was all happening in the 80s. And suddenly, a lot of things was happening. Then, closer to the time that this teenage girl and her guy friend was born, and by the time that happened, the elf-eared, twin-tailed, murderous alien, the slimy thing, had been executed. The government finally have had enough of seeing their semi-trained security in Area 53 in Trinidad, New Mexico, being killed off during the escape attempts. They put the alien down. Then, only then, when they decided the coast was clear, that they was going to allow more and more people to get involved with joining the military, getting involved in the government. But the conspiracies is this: so many people that have died were the ones who were the ones that weren't particularly doing their jobs on the battlefield for the country. So they were forced to do guard duty as penance for what they have done and what they didn't do. This girl, 16-year-old female, born 1992, was talking to her male friend about it. 15-year-old male, born 1993. Stephanie was talking to Jake, and she said, "Jake, have you heard about that elf-eared, twin-tailed, murderous alien that tried to escape Area 53? She said to Jake, and Jake replied, "No, I haven't. I haven't heard anything about that," said Jake. Well, it tried to escape a few times back in the early to mid 80s, said Stephanie. No way. That really happened? Said Jake. It really happened, said Stephanie. So Stephanie looks up the old newspapers about it, the headlines, the bulletins. Then there was government sanctioned Google documented articles about it. The monster that tried to escape by murdering a path for a way to escape back to its home planet. And after it's killed a lot of people in the vague, feeblish attempts at escaping to its ship, the fifth time was the last and final time. The military had gunned down the creature as machine gun fire, handgun fire, semi-automatic fire, and submachine gun fire and minigun fire was going off. The creature was dodging bullets, then tried to hide, as the military knew the creature was scared, fearing for its life, hiding, running, attacking, trying to defend itself. Then, also sniper rifles were used, and then a Apache helicopter, which was an attack chopper with rockets and machine guns, was the last and final thing to finish it off. As the bullets ripped through the creature's body, it let out a guttural scream. And not like any other scream heard on the earth, but a scream that only common from its planet. Stephanie plays the very visual of the confrontation between the military and the creature. Jake watched as Jake was shocked and utterly horrified. Black body, black eyes, a blood-soaked nose, blood-soaked smile, brownish hair, balding, pointy-eared, sharp teeth, sharp-clawed, twin-tailed, said monster had been killed, and its screams were heard and documented on footage, filmed footage on the news from back in the mid to late 80s. And what Jake saw in the very video and heard in the very footage that was on the news in the early to mid 80s made his blood run cold. And Jake said to Stephanie, "Holy freaking crap. That stuff scares people and scares me. I about peed and pooped my pants. I'm gonna have nightmares of that freaking thing," said Jake. No duh, I'm gonna have nightmares of seeing that too. And I'm gonna need therapy, said Stephanie, as both teenagers head to class, utterly creeped out. As the very, very footage was the major headlines back in the 80s and was well documented and had a horror movie franchise around the creature. Tandem elf alien. Tandem tail elf alien was the franchise that blew up in the 90s. Then Stephanie's aunt, who was a pro wrestler, had come to spend time with her niece. She was working in TWA, a local homegrown, homebound New Mexico wrestling territory, an indie promotion. TWA was True Wrestling Association. Tough Wrestling Association was also known as the True Wrestling Association. But Tough Wrestling Association was a New Mexico indie promotion and territory. Brute Fist was the very aunt of Stephanie. Brute Fist formed a stable with Zarok, Theory, and Skull Crusher, and Trinity Mox. Better known as Trixie Mox. Trixie Mox had made it quite clear that she hasn't gone by Trinity since the day she started in TWA. But these were indie wrestlers. There wasn't very many indie wrestlers around. Then a steampunk-based wrestler called Field Corpse. Field Corpse was another TWA indie wrestler. There was so many indie wrestlers. In TWA. Then another male wrestler called JT. Just Tough. Ended up as a TWA wrestler. But the wrestling scene has also heard about the Tandem Elf Alien franchise. And some of them TWA wrestlers grew up around the area. The Trinidad, New Mexico area, close to the outskirts of Area 53. There was so many things going on in there. They were killing monsters that posed a dangerous threat to humanity. They couldn't do nothing about the gods and divine beings that they've captured. Considering messing with the divine brought destruction, would have brought the apocalypse. They decided to not to try to kill any of the divine beings. One very individual, a self-proclaimed Native American, decided to get a job there, but was working as a clerk. The one that was in the lobby as a lobby specialist. Then years later, the very couple wound up the very couple of teenagers graduated high school and moved to New Jersey to get away from the craziness that is Trinidad, New Mexico. To get away from Area 53, because they feared for their lives after they've graduated high school and they decided to pack up all their stuff and move. Jake asked Stephanie if she wanted to move out of the state with him, and she said yes. Stephanie said, "Of course, Jake. I need to get out of this town, this state. Wherever you're planning on going, I'm gonna be there right with you. After all, we are friends." Jake said to Stephanie, "Wonderful. I'm going to move to New Jersey. Care to come with me?" said Jake. "Yes, I'm willing to come with you to New Jersey," said Stephanie. "To get out of this nightmare-inducing place. To get out of this town. To get out of this state. Find somewhere else to live." I hope you enjoyed this story. Like, comment, and subscribe, and share, and make sure you don't miss another upload. This has been Jason Deweese's Stuff Review.